Gig Gab, episode 419 for Monday, March 4th, National Grammar Day 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Gig Gab, the show by, for, and about working musicians. Our sponsor today is factormeals.com/giggab50, where you can use code giggab50 for 50% off. We'll talk more in depth about that in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton, and with me here in Durham, New Hampshire, who you heard playing that beautiful
did they hear that?
Whistle during the theme song.
Didn't work very well.
My friend Billy Butler.
Hi. Yeah.
That was actually made by a gentleman named Nico Karatzis. I think it has Nico's name on the bottom of it. It's this little clay whistle he made when he was in middle school playing in a band with my daughter.
Now I feel bad.
No, it's fine. He's in his 20s now and has no knowledge or interest in that thing. He came here for band rehearsal after school. And, brought that home from school as kids do. And it has stayed for 10 years.
And now I feel bad for criticizing his craftsmanship.
He was 14 or 13 or 12.
All right, then I don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad. It's totally fine. It works. It functions.
It functions.
So there's that. How you doing today, Billy Butler?
I'm good. How are you, Dave Hamilton?
I'm fine. I just got back from Mexico. It's been a crazy, short, weird week, but, it's all good.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yep, but it's all good.
Going to Mexico to see a band.
I did go to Mexico to see a band again.
Yes.
Yep.
It's so weird to me.
Well, so here's the thing about
It's not weird, it's foreign to me.
Okay, that's fair.
Because weird is good. In my world, weird is good.
Sure. So we went, for those of you who don't know, Lisa, my wife, and I went down to Mexico to see Phish, which we've done. This was our 6th time doing that. Phish, and you and I are going to talk about Phish. We promised this from the last episode.
Right.
We are going to talk about this later here before we wrap up today. But yeah, Phish is a band that it's not even my favorite band. It's top 5. I like the band.
I don't know if I believe that.
Okay, that's fair.
You talk about them more than any other band.
Because the bands that I would put above them on my list, like Rush and REM and Yes still plays, but the other 2 bands don't play anymore.
Right.
So they're the only band in that top 5 that's currently active.
I just think you're in denial.
I mean, okay, sure. This is why I bring Billy on the show. But no, it's interesting because before Lisa and I met, and we met in 90, we started dating in 92. We met in 92, started dating in 93. I don't know, whatever, long time ago. We were both fans of live music.
Right.
Right. And it turns out we actually were at least at least one concert together. Separately.
Right.
We saw Boston and Worcester, which is a weird thing to say when you use those words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of National Grammar Day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Worcester.
Worcester. Yeah. Yes. But seeing
Make
city,
America grammar again.
Make America grammar again. There you go. That's the title of the episode. Yes. And I have no idea what that's going to do to us.
Good luck.
Thanks. Maybe I won't make that the title.
Probably shouldn't.
Probably not. Probably should edit that part out. But neither of us had ever seen Phish. I was aware of it because the singer in the band I was in at the time, band was Go Figure, the singer is Jeff Stebla. At the time, big Phish fan, and knew that it would be a band that I would like, and was trying to convince me to listen to this band. He finally succeeded, and so he and Lisa and I went to my and Lisa's first Phish show together. Jeff had seen them many times. And so, going in, that we knew that they played different songs every show. So best to listen to, tens or hundreds of hours of music so that you have some idea of recognition of what the hell's going on stage. And so that process got me into Phish enough to be into seeing them. And then it became this thing that Lisa and I discovered together for ourselves. I mean, we didn't discover Phish like as humans, but for us. And so with that, we have used Phish because every show is different and they play all over the country and all over the world. We have used Phish as an assistant in choosing where we can go and travel together.
Well, it's a bonding experience.
Exactly.
It's something that you both enjoy doing together.
Correct.
And it brought you together. So it's kind
in
of
a sense, yeah.
Tradition at this point.
It's tradition. It's very much tradition. But
which I have no, of course you would do something like that.
Of course.
As a couple.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's also given us the opportunity to go to places like Lake Tahoe. Living here in New England.
So beautiful.
But you would never go there from New England.
Would if I could afford it.
Well, right. But it's a pain in the neck to get there.
Right.
Like, you got to fly and then drive.
And you need a reason to go.
And you need a reason to go. Right. And if you want to just go to nice lakes, we can drive an hour and go to really nice lakes.
I mean, there's lakes
everywhere around.
Stone. The ocean's right there.
Right. Yeah. We don't need to go to Tahoe to see that, although it's gorgeous.
Right.
So that's what brought us to Mexico.
That's an awesome thing.
Exactly.
It's something that you said about seeing the band for the first time and like doing your due diligence to listen to all the music. For me, it should just be an amazing, so good that it blows you away. It doesn't matter if you had ever heard them before or even ever heard of them.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many opening acts that I have seen that I had no idea who they were. And it's like, oh God, an opening act.
Yes.
And then I'm just like, oh my God, and then go down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
And become a huge fan of them.
Yes. That happened to me with that band Rusted Root.
Oh, Rusted Root's great.
We went to see the Horde tour right around that time, 94-ish.
Right.
And we knew, I knew who Blues Traveler was. Right. I knew who
Aren't they a New England band?
They're a New York band.
New York band, that's right.
Yep. I think it was Blues Traveler. The Allman Brothers were on that tour. The Black Crowes were on that tour. So, I mean, there were bands that had name brands.
Huge.
Huge. Yeah, exactly. And then there was the side stage. And someone actually on the Phish news group, this was before there was really even
I remember
a web,
news groups.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So Rec Music, somebody
boards.
on Rec Music Phish.
Bulletin boards,
Yep, said, go see Rusted Root. If you're going to Horde, go see Rusted Root. And I'm like, okay, sure. So they're on the side stage. They have literally a 20-minute slot, right? Because that's what you get.
That's usually what it is.
That's what you get.
Things, on side stages. Anyway.
Correct, yeah. And we walked over and we saw this, raggedy-looking band kind of assemble on the stage, and they have cool instrumentations, whatever. And then suddenly, when they start, energy just poured off the stage for 22 minutes, and then they left. And we were...
You're like, what just happened?
I felt like the guy in the old Maxell commercial with my hair back. It was like, I need to process this.
Yeah.
And we wound up, going and seeing that band a bunch because they
I love that. I love discovering bands.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's funny that you said your favorite bands are Phish, REM, and Rush.
Yes, as well would be in there. But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the three of those, without Yes, very, very different bands.
Oh, yeah.
All three of them.
Yes.
Yes is kind of similar
to Rush.
And a little bit of Phish, I suppose. But
yes.
more similar to Rush, I guess.
Yep.
But it's just interesting.
It's like Rush with harmonies.
Yes.
Yes. So, like Rush and Yes have the prog roots for sure.
Yeah. I think I like.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to pick one over Yes or Rush.
Yes, and REM have the harmonies, and that's where I learned the value of singing harmonies.
I think I'm more of a fan of REM just because I'm a sensitive little thing, and Michael Stipe is super sensitive.
They're a great band.
Oh, I just I kind of was a closeted REM. I had to be a closeted a lot of things growing up because all my friends were punk rockers, and I was into musical theater and opera and classical and country, and I was like, I have to hide all my things. Oh no, I just love the Exploited.
Right.
That was my friend group.
Sure.
And then finally, I became an adult, and I was like, that's stupid. I should just like everything I want to like.
Whatever it is you like, is what it turns out you like.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'd be curious to hear from listeners. What bands did you discover that way? Were you in a scenario where you saw them
opening act,
or just walked into a club, like random chance encounter kind of things?
So many times walking into a random like $5 cover charge, like whatever. Walk in like blown away by whoever's there.
Well, that's what I love. And feedback at giggabpodcast.com. Next week I'll be at South by Southwest. And
jealous.
That's one of the things.
I applied for Bitter Pill to go there, and I never heard anything from them. They took my money though.
Okay. Well, we'll work on them.
Whatever.
No, we should work on them.
No, I want them to come after me. I'm done applying to these stupid things.
Yeah.
You know, because you give them money and then
I
they don't
understand.
give you any feedback. They don't give you nothing. Like, I gave you money, bro.
Yep.
Like, give me something.
Interesting.
Give me something. Say, you know what?
Here's why we didn't choose you.
You know, even just like a simple reason, like you're not good enough.
I'll ask them.
Yeah.
I mean, I have enough contacts there that I could be like, hey, you know, by the way, I am in that band.
Because we rock every room we go into.
It is true. It is true.
You know, and when I say rock, I mean like we demand attention when we play, and we put on a show, and we expect you to have fun. And if you don't, we expect you not to like us, and we want you to leave.
Right. we want a reaction out of you one way or another.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. And maybe that's snobby or whatever, but like, I'm just done giving these people money. It's like paying to play, you know? Like,
I mean, the application fee.
Application fee.
I think it's a I think it's a gatekeeping exercise. It's relatively inexpensive.
Yes, but when you have 5,000 bands applying, you know, $35 times 5,000.
Yeah. But
that's
if they charged nothing, they would have 50,000 bands applying.
Would they though?
Yeah. I think so. Because I've been in scenarios where
purely speculation.
It is speculation, but having to put some amount of money, some amount of effort, some sort of
it takes effort to put together an EPK, and
I understand.
And to actually put something really good together.
Yep.
You know, you don't need $35 or $100 or whatever it costs.
Yeah. No, that money is nominal. I think. I mean, it's $35. It's not $350.
No, but it's the point.
Right.
The point of it is. And I bet you they think that like, oh, we're only charging $35, but we're going to make a crap ton of money on this. We could charge this, but we might get a hard time for that. But we'll charge a little, like, I'm just saying. Like,
maybe. Yeah. I wonder how many bands they have. I'm going to ask them. Because if you're right, if it's 5,000 bands, that's $175K. I'm not doing public math. I'm letting my computer do it.
Even if it's like 1,000, because they have to get at least 1,000. I mean, it's huge.
Oh,
from
absolutely.
all over the world.
But that's what I love about South by is there's bands that I've either been told about or that I recognize that I will make an effort to go see, and then I find all the power pop bands,
right,
and I put those on my schedule. Well. There's a method to this madness.
Power pop. No.
Well, there's that. I mean, you're going to get good, like, crunchy guitars and harmonies. Yeah. So, like, there's a formula there. Mm-hmm. Every band plays 40 minutes at South by.
Right.
Even an awful band, I don't want to say an awful band. Even a band that plays music that I would not otherwise choose to listen to. It doesn't mean that they're awful to everyone. Well, if it's awful to me, doesn't mean that they're awful. Yep. It's not an objective thing. Even if subjectively I think they're awful,
right,
they're out there delivering, in their mind, the best 40 minutes of material they can. They traveled from who knows where to get there, right? Like, they've got, for a lot of them, their entire lives in their minds riding on this 40 minutes.
Right.
That's energetic.
I just want to play. I don't...
Yeah.
To me, it's just another gig.
It's another gig.
It'd be a vacation for us. We don't make any money.
No.
Because we make money when we play. We don't lose money.
Well, and you can make money not playing the tour down and back.
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the smart bands do.
I just don't think we're commercial enough in their eyes.
Oh.
Well, now
that's interesting. Music
industry. They're very,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, they're very tunnel vision, and music industry has always been this way. These dudes with cigars sitting in their offices thinking that they understand music trends and whatnot, and they always miss out.
That's not, there's not that at South by. Like,
but they're there. But
yes.
Isn't that the point of the thing? Isn't it a commercial thing? Maybe
it was like there are bands that have been discovered at South by. The famous story is Hanson, the brothers, right? They did not get a showcase.
Right.
They set up acoustic in the lobby of a hotel and
that
sang
happens all the time.
And I think it was at the Driscoll Hotel. But
Sturgill Simpson
yeah,
wasn't invited to the Country Music Awards one year.
Okay.
And so he stood out front with his guitar and busked the entire time.
Why not?
Yeah. And he wasn't a huge name at that point.
No.
But he was selling a lot of records.
Yeah.
And for some reason like it's everything's so commercialized that you kind of lose vision on something that's unique and interesting.
That's what I'm saying is I find that there are showcases which contain bands that are like that would have zero commercial appeal in my estimation.
Maybe I'm wrong then.
Well,
it just seems so commercialized to me.
Yeah.
And I would love to be commercialized.
Yes, of course.
I will sell out.
Yep.
I'll sell out every seat.
Yep.
I have no issue with that.
No, that's the point.
And right. Maybe it's, I don't know, bitterness. Bitter pill.
Bitter pill.
Yeah.
Huh. But no. So I'm looking forward to South by. There's the bands that I know that I'm going to try and see. But what I really like are the serendipitous. I'm going to see a band at 10 p.m. and so I get there and I watch the 9 o'clock band, and that becomes my favorite discovery of the week. Or like one year, I wound up a friend of mine who had a business that was related to Mac Observer, so like not South by music related at all.
Right.
But he was there for his thing, and he texted me. It was like 11:30 at night, and he's like, "Hey, if you're not doing anything, come down to the Driscoll. There's somebody I want you to meet." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So I go down to the Driscoll. It's a hotel, and it's haunted, and right on 6th Street. Yep. And I spent the next 2.5 hours with this guy and Kim Fowley.
Awesome.
The former manager of the Runaways.
Yeah.
He was a weird dude.
I'm friends with, what's her name? Cherry.
Oh yeah.
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 Not close friends, but we're friends on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't think she and Kim were friends at the time I saw Kim.
She's a trip, man.
I bet.
She is a trip.
I bet.
Yeah, she does wood sculptures with chainsaws.
Oh, all right. All right.
Like everything you would expect, really.
Yes, right. Yes.
Next year, I should go with you.
Okay.
Just as a music fan.
Yes.
As a former resident of Austin.
You lived in Austin too?
In Austin, yeah,
we both lived in Austin.
Yep.
I was there
1999.
So you were there when I was there?
Yeah.
We were there 95 to.
I lived just over the bridge.
South Austin.
Downtown.
Yeah.
Just literally walk over the bridge and there's downtown.
Like South Congress?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So not too far from like the Continental Club and things like that. Yeah. Probably between the Continental and downtown, but the way you're describing it.
Yeah, I was right on the river.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I lived at a Days Inn.
Yeah. Oh, I know where. Yeah, I know where that is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, and I think I know why you were there, but tell people why you were there because this is an interesting.
Oh, I was
part
a
of your
technical
history.
director for a Broadway tour.
Yeah.
And the shows were called Tuna, Texas, or took place at a fictional. Jeez, I can't talk today. In
it's a bad day for a
town
podcast.
in Texas called Tuna, Texas.
Okay.
It's called Greater Tuna, and then they wrote the whole series of plays. Right.
Okay.
So there was Greater Tuna. There was Christmas Tuna, and then Red, White, and Tuna, which was the one I was touring with.
Okay, I remember this.
Yeah. And so the company and everybody that worked in it were all in Texas, and specifically Austin.
I didn't realize that's what you were there for.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Building the show there, rehearsing it there, and then we toured it across the country. Played the Kennedy Center. We played all the big venues with that.
And you were tech director.
I was a technical director, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh. Tell people what that job entails.
I direct the technical parts of.
So helpful. That really was it. Thank you. Wow.
As a technical director, it's like a foreman, on a job site. So I'm in charge of making sure that everything technically is implemented: lighting, sound, set, trucks loading and unloading.
So you were basically the one that people would say, "Oh crap, where's Billy?"
Yeah.
That your name was said more after "Oh crap" than anybody else's.
Yeah, and usually I was standing right there.
Of course,
because I worked all the time.
Yeah, well, that's who you are.
I worked for Ringling Brothers too, as sort of.
I knew that.
Yeah, it wasn't a technical position, but that's why they hired me, because I had extensive technical knowledge. Lighting and sound and such.
Yeah.
Living on a train.
Amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah.
That's
I have
cool.
20 rolls of film. I took film pictures.
Yeah.
There's a book there somewhere.
The coffee table book.
Yeah.
Billy on a train.
Stories, though. I gave Cheetah Rivera a tour of Madison Square Garden.
Huh? Can you give me a tour of Madison Square Garden someday?
Maybe.
All right, great.
I don't think I know anybody there now.
Well, that sucks.
Some celebrities and just crazy. And I worked with I worked with elephants and tigers and
Wow.
clowns. We used to
still
say
work-
our
you
clowns
still
are
work
nothing to
with
laugh
clowns.
at. Oh, I definitely work with clowns still.
So let's talk about the clowns that we work with, because we just Bitter
We
Pill
played together for the first time in like 3 months.
3 months probably. Yeah.
Well, we've been writing. Emily and I and John, our guitar player, have been writing a lot. So, and like Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Tomer was in Amsterdam with seeing his family. I got COVID in December.
Yep.
Really bad.
That sucks.
Probably the worst since I got it in 2019 when we didn't know it was COVID.
We did. Yeah.
It was very similar.
Huh.
The symptoms I had
Yeah,
were very
yeah.
similar from 2019. But it was a long day too. It was like 4 or 5 hours. It's funny you listen because I listen to your podcast.
This podcast.
Yes, this podcast. And it was interesting the last time or 2 times ago you're talking about the dynamics of rehearsal.
Yes.
And you're not wrong at all. I'm usually because of the theater, everything has to be done. We come in, we start.
Yes.
And we work. These are the things we're working on.
Well, that's rehearsal, and then there's practice.
And then there's practice, right? And that was Emily. Emily was like, It's not a rehearsal, Dad.
Yeah.
It's not theater.
No, when she changed the name of our Slack channel from
did.
rehearsal to practice, I was like, wow, I need to not push back on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's taken such a leadership role that I'm just so glad because I don't have to do everything.
But
I'm still doing far too much. But
how did you? I will tell you my answer to this.
Yeah.
But how did you feel coming into rehearsrsal, and how did you feel
I was
post
so
rehearsal?
excited to come in and play.
Got it.
Because Emily and John and I have been getting together for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Because we were rehearsed. Yeah, we didn't play together as a whole unit for months, but
Right.
Emily and John and I got together to write. And I don't know, it's like 4 sessions I think we did.
Yep.
And some of it was already written and some we worked together on.
Yep.
But most of it was like, there's too many people in the room when it comes to new songs.
Yep.
Right. And we were like, okay, let's just get the 3 of us together. This is my song. This is your song. This is your song. Let's just kind of work through it and see what we can discover.
Yep.
And then take it to the band.
Yep.
Right. Because we're the 3 songwriters.
Correct.
Yeah, it's mostly Emily and I.
Correct.
But John's an amazing songwriter.
He's also an amazing
and
songwriter.
He's been bringing things.
Yeah, he's
here
bringing more and more to this band.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And I think I gave him permission
Sure.
a long time ago. I'm like, please, you're a great songwriter.
Yeah, he's a prolific songwriter.
Yeah. Not just a good one, but prolific.
Yeah.
And we spent, we did 3 songs.
Yeah.
Right? For like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I think in a creative session, it shouldn't be regimented. You should have a plan of what you want to get done.
An idea.
An
Yep.
idea.
An agenda.
An agenda, a layout. You know, of course you want.
But not a schedule.
Bullet. I mean, you can have a schedule,
Yeah,
sure.
I know. Yeah,
but it should be a stream of consciousness. It should be free flowing. Because if you're not doing that in a creative session, then there are just walls up and you're not being your authentic self.
And that's,
Right.
I think that's what I was saying in that episode where we talked about,
Yeah.
the difference between rehearsal and practice. It's like with Bitter Pill, we
do rehearsals.
Of course.
When we did the shows, like when we did Titus and when we did, you weren't around for those, but
Yeah.
that and Children of the Grimm.
Yeah, that's different.
It's different. We had.
When we did the first Bitter Pill, like the
very regimented.
Very regimented. Yeah. But for a session like that,
That's a creative
we
session.
need
It's a
time
writing
to just
session.
get into that headspace. So
You did different drumming for the 3 songs every time. Every time
Correct.
you played it.
Correct.
You would do similar things and add stuff.
Yep.
But you can't do that when you're like this
Under
is
the
what we're
clock.
doing.
Right. No, I
We need to play.
agree.
We need to feel. We need to.
We need to experiment. We need the freedom to experiment. So I came into this rehearsal, this most recent one that you're discussing. I should start by saying I left it feeling like full heart and
it was high.
I was super high.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was outstanding. I went into it very apprehensively.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, and the reason was because, in retrospect, what transpired is really not all that different from how songs have come into this band before. But the fact that you had isolated the 3 of you, not just for writing songs, but for workshopping songs separate from the band, I didn't feel threatened by that. What I felt was concerned that we wouldn't have the creative session that we had.
Yeah.
I was concerned
that was unfounded because
that's why I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Like it was like, well,
not unfounded. You feel what you feel. It's not
right?
discounting
How regimented are they going to be with these songs that they're bringing in? Because this is not how we've done it in the past entirely.
Well,
but
to be fair though, there was some regimented stuff.
But no more.
That's composition.
No more than any other time.
Exactly.
Right. You came in with songs.
Right.
But it wasn't, and this is the only way this will work. It was like it needs these things.
Right. Well, there was like particular things. There's just, like
as there always are.
For our new song, "Hate."
Yep.
Which I think should be the name of our next record. "Hate!" !
There you go.
There's a specific lick that I want to play on the guitar.
Right.
Because I wrote the song on guitar.
I
write most everything on the guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm a piano player.
I know. I miss playing with you.
I know.
With
Everybody
you on
keeps saying, I don't want to hear it. Give me a paying gig and I'll do it.
Wait, is that all it takes?
That's all it takes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll solve this problem.
All right.
Great.
So there's a certain lick that I want to play, and it's a type of bluegrass lick.
Yep.
And that's the only real thing I wanted in that tune.
But that's no different than you or most other songwriters.
Right.
Like you have an idea. It's like, well, there's this one thing that to me is the,
it's like the hook.
The hook, the core, whatever you want to call it.
The riff.
But I just didn't know how, if it would be more regimented than that.
Yeah.
And of course, again, my concerns turned out to be unfounded.
Right.
Because we had a great session. It was like, oh, okay. And then after the fact, I thought about it. I'm like, the only difference this time was that there were scheduled writing sessions that I knew about, and that, and this is going to sound wrong, but I'll say it anyway, that I was not invited to, right? And I didn't take that personally or anything.
But you could take it personally.
Yeah, sure, I could. I'm not going to.
You could.
I could, thanks.
Because it wasn't personal.
Appreciate permission. But it wasn't personal. No, exactly.
No.
But other than that, it's no different than if you're in your house working on a song and you write a tune and then you bring it into the band. It's like, okay,
same thing.
It's exactly the same thing.
The other reason I think I said this is that there's just too many people in the room. And you get 7 people in the room, let alone creative people or musicians or whatever. You get 7 people in the room, it's
hard to be productive
and digressive.
Yes.
And most of the time is spent trying to get everybody back on track.
That's correct. No, you're totally, and you wind up missing. But
I've directed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows, like 500 shows. Probably.
But if your energy is on that, then it can't therefore be on the creative part. Right. And so I know.
And
I'm glad this worked as well as it did because it paves a path for us.
Yes. And this isn't a musical or a play or anything, but and those have to be regimented because we have a goal, we have a script, we have to do this and get it to a certain place. And I'm really, really good at keeping people on track and focusing on the work.
Yeah.
And this is great because I don't have to do that.
Right.
I do it, but I also let the spirit of our band dictate how we're going to create, because that's how it should be as a band. It's not called a what would be opposite of band, like a solo, whatever.
Sure. Yes.
Where you can do whatever you want. When you get people in a room where you depend on them to add to what you've created, or you get to add to that person's creativeness, it's hard to be regimented with it. You should be regimented in, here's a song, this is the way it goes, yada, yada, yada.
Yada, yada. Right.
But you have to be organic a little bit.
And that, your comment, the spirit of our band, that was my concern coming into that rehearsal. Is like, is this change, this perceived change in process, which it turns out was it only existed in perception.
Well, it was really just FOMO.
Exactly.
That's all it was.
It was a concern of, is the spirit of the band going to change? Is that organic? How much of that organic process that we have enjoyed thus far are we going to lose with this perceived change? And the answer, it turns out, Dave, is, none.
Yes.
All right, folks, as you know, I'm just back from Mexico, and let me tell you, Factor saved our post-vacation blues with their ready-to-eat gourmet meals. Imagine this. You're dragging after a weekend of gigs. Your fridge is as empty as a concert hall during a sound check. Enter our sponsor, Factor. Chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready faster than you can say encore. Factor's got your back with meals that hit the high note in just 2 minutes. With over 35 menu options weekly, including keto to keep you lean and calorie smart to keep you mean, you'll never hit a wrong note nutritionally. Pancakes for breakfast, smoothies for that mid-set break, and more. It's like having your own backstage caterer, minus the diva demands. No prep, no mess, just pure food harmony. Perfect for those nights when you've got back-to-back shows and zero time to cook. And folks, Factor isn't just convenient, it's a sound check for your health. Less expensive than takeout, and every meal's a chart topper for taste and nutrition. Are you ready to rock your meals? Head to factormeals.com/giggab50 and use code giggab50 to get 50% off. That's code giggab50 at factormeals.com/giggab50 to get 50% off. Because even rock stars need to eat like kings, minus the kitchen solo. And my thanks to Factor for sponsoring this episode. All right, so we promised that we would do this last episode. We promised we would do this at the beginning of this episode. And so let's do this. The segment that will at least workshop the name, Teaching Billy About Phish.
I don't like the title, but
I know. That's why
it should be like Fish Food or Fish Talk or Fishing, Fish bowl. Fish. Come on, help me out here. Brainstorm.
Teach a man to fish for a day.
Fish.
There's a mixed
fish
metaphor.
Wrapper.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll come back to that.
Send that feedback at giggab.com.
Giggabpodcast.com.
Yeah, don't listen to me.
Yeah, that's okay. So there's Phish. Everything that Phish plays sounds like Phish. And then also
Pink Floyd.
Well, I mean, right. They have all their influences, and they happily
very, very Pink Floyd, like early Pink Floyd stuff.
Some of it,
yeah.
No,
some of it like Ummagumma and
yeah,
Adam Hart Mother, the really weird stuff.
Yep.
And even like I don't know, metal is really good.
Yep. So you're helping me here because the question I want to ask, what I was going to say is, certainly Phish sounds like Phish.
Yes.
With no matter what they play, whatever song they play, whether they wrote it or somebody else does, it goes through the machine that is the four of them, and it comes out sounding like they played it.
Sure.
Just like every other band.
And they've done Pink Floyd.
Correct.
They've done like
they did Dark Side of the Moon. Correct.
And, yeah.
I was pissed about that. By the way,
I only know that because I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. I was like, these guys are
they
terrible.
did that on November 2nd in 1998, and the reason,
of course, you know the date.
Well, here's why: because they have this habit. They had, and I suppose they still do it. Where they started this thing in 1994.
Yeah, that seems right.
Say,
94.
Halloween of 1994, I believe. They said that they were going to don a musical costume for the second set of a 3-set show on Halloween.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something else. Okay.
Yep. So this was their thing, and they let fans kind of submit ideas, and Phish is really, really good about creating mystery. And
connecting with their
audience in a lot of different
immersively
ways. Correct. Yeah. And I want to talk about a lot of those things too. But this was one of them, and they let people guess and guess and guess, and they wound up doing the White Album that year. So they covered the White Album start to finish as the second set in Glens Falls, New York. We wound up seeing them.
Beautiful out there.
We scheduled to go to, we were living in Austin in 98. We had bought tickets to go see Phish 2 nights, the night before Halloween and Halloween night in Las Vegas that year. And then in August of that year, we got engaged. We had lived together. We already owned a house together.
You were living in sin.
We owned a house in sin.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And so, and we had always joked about either getting married in Graceland for its kitsch value or in Las Vegas for its kitsch value.
I would choose Vegas over Graceland.
So we knew, Lisa, this was August when we got engaged. Halloween, obviously, 2 months later, October. And Lisa said, listen, we already own a house together. We've been dating for 7 years or whatever it was, 6 years. She's like, I'm not into some 2-year-long engagement period. Like, let's do this.
I love her so much.
Same.
I know.
Yeah. And so she said, let's get married in Vegas. We're going to go out there. And we've talked about this.
Right.
So we got married at the Graceland Wedding Chapel in Las Vegas with Elvis.
It's funny. Like it doesn't make any sense that Lisa came up with this, but it makes perfect sense to me.
So we did that a week before
amazing.
Halloween.
Yeah, it's amazing. As much as I know Lisa pretty well.
Yes.
I mean, not as well as you, obviously.
Of course.
But it's amazing that was her idea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So
she's like your Bob Zamuda. Right?
There's a song in there.
There is.
The Bare Naked Lady said that, would you be my Yoko Ono? Yeah. I write a song for Lisa. Yeah. You're my Bob Zamuda.
I actually wrote Yoko Ono into song for Paula, my wife.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So we saw there were rumors that that Phish was doing the same thing for this Halloween show, which would be the first Halloween show that we would have seen of Phish's, 98. And there were rumors that they were going to do Dark Side of the Moon. And they did the Velvet Underground's Loaded. This is a terrible album for Phish to have covered. There was one song on it that was good for them. And
I don't like it.
And I knew Rock and Roll was the one song that was like, this is a Phish song.
No, it's a great song.
And that's the only song that stayed in the set, and they still play it all the time.
It's a great song. Yeah.
But to hear Phish play, 3 chords of Sweet Jane and jam it out for 15 minutes was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah, and it's not a great song.
It's also just, right. So we were like, oh, Loaded. 2 nights later in Utah, they played to, and this was sold out crowd in Vegas or whatever, because it's Halloween, big deal. They played to a half full room in Utah 2 nights later, and we're like, you know what? Tonight's the night. And they did Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, man.
So this is,
I've heard that. I've heard the Dark Side of the Moon, because like I said, I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan, and it wasn't good.
It was almost unrehearsed.
It was bad.
Yeah.
That was one of my first impressions. Aside from, I saw them play on the Seacoast when they were nobody band.
Sure.
They played Portsmouth and
literally
all the time. Right down the street here
at the Stone Church.
That was the regular haunt.
Yes.
I didn't see them at Stone Church. I think I saw them at Prescott Park or the Music Hall or something.
The Music Hall, probably.
Probably the Music Hall.
Yeah.
To a half full room, because they weren't
big enough.
What they are now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly.
And I remember growing up in my friend circle, everybody's like, Phish, oh my God.
Yep.
And I'm like, what?
So,
but I'm also not a Dead fan.
Same.
And I'm not a jam band fan. And I think that is part of my lack of interest in.
I had the same feeling.
Let me be fair. Not a lack of interest. I just don't think it's good.
Yep. So I had the same. I was never a Grateful Dead fan, especially live Grateful Dead. I think some of their studio albums are fantastic.
They're Shakedown Street.
Yeah, but American Beauty. Great album.
Yeah.
Right. So like there's some great stuff there, but I always felt like they needed a producer live. They needed someone to objectively say, what we're doing right now sucks and needs to change.
Well, to be fair, they drugs and alcohol affected their performances, but they also revolutionized live music.
Absolutely. And there's a whole conversation to have there,
and
because
as a
it wasn't.
Technician and somebody who's been who is professional audio and lighting and video and a technical person, I have such an appreciation for the work that they did and changing live sound and live performance.
Absolutely.
And brought it. Everything you see now in a live concert is because of the Grateful Dead.
In a large part because of the Dead. Yeah, it's fair.
Sound,
they catalyzed a lot of it.
Specifically.
Yeah, well,
new
Alice Lee's
sound
whole wall
was
of
invented
sound.
because of the Grateful Dead's live performances.
Yep. Well, and Bob Heil, who made that microphone that you're using, did sound for them after Owsley, and
so credit where credit's due.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
But as far as the music goes, I mean, they were really Grateful Dead was really a bluegrass cover band.
To start. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
And then got into they created the whole kind of jam
psychedelic
band
scene.
scene, and I just
it was created for them.
It just kind of happened.
Well, no, it didn't quite happen. All right, so we should have.
I'm just saying jam band.
So here's the thing about the Dead. They were the house band at Ken Kesey's, the acid test parties. Yeah. And Stanley, who turned out to be a decent sound engineer, was a highly technical person. He was a fantastic chemist, and he made all the LSD for those parties. And he wanted a place to sell it beyond just the San Francisco area.
Yeah.
So he had the idea
the CIA
to take this band that was playing at Ken Kesey's parties and tour them around and use them as sort of the cover / traveling
LSD.
Sales force to sell his LSD. And so he funded their first tours.
I needed another reason to like the Dead. Now I have another reason to like the Dead.
Yeah. So he funded their tours, their first tour, and did sound for them and all the stuff. Because it was a business investment for him.
So insane.
Right.
It's so insane.
I know. And then people would come to the shows and take LSD and see the band, and they would have
it was the best band in the world.
Amazing experience, and they would equate it with the band. And
well, you know what they say, you know the joke. What did the Deadhead say when he ran out of drugs?
Yeah.
This band sucks.
Well, and here's the funny part. When I was in college, I played in this band, Go Figure, that I mentioned earlier.
Right.
We were invited to play at these parties that somebody called Gathering of the Tribes.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
It's still happening.
They fed everybody mushrooms at the party. These were house parties, private house parties, and we became the house band for these. We were a fairly well-known band at the University of Connecticut.
Right.
When we would play at like a bar, we'd have 200 to 300 people,
right.
That's
pretty good,
which is really good. Which is why we were invited to play at these parties.
Right.
So we play at these parties, and then suddenly it was like 500, 1,000 people at the gigs. And it wasn't until decades later that...
You gotta go figure, they have the best drugs.
Well, it was like, no, we were a good band. We wrote good songs, like all of those things. But it wasn't until decades later that I realized, hey... there might have been another reason that people really suddenly got into the band and there were lines out the door.
Now, maybe I'm not being fair. I'm probably not being fair.
Yeah.
But I have a highly technical ear.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Very sensitive ear, even though I'm losing my hearing. I don't get it. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not good. I don't think they're good.
But again, like we were saying before, there's subjectiveness
it's subjective,
of it. Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a whole, specifically about the Dead, there's a whole conspiracy about the Dead, too, that the CIA and the government was involved. And
of course.
Some awesome, crazy stories.
We were talking about this before. I emotionally support all conspiracy theories.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said to you, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
That's correct. All right. So
my point is that I don't think I'm being fair to Trey and the rest of the band. I only know Trey's name because Trey wrote a musical.
Right.
A Broadway musical.
Yeah. Hands on a Hard Body.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Beautiful story. A very American story.
Didn't do well. And it had but that's okay.
Pulitzer Prize winning writers involved. Like it just wasn't commercial.
Right.
And it's funny coming from somebody like Trey Anastasia. Is that the right way to say it?
Anastasio.
I don't even know.
It's not
and it's my ignorance of it. And I think, to be fair, that I don't have the LSD eyes, right? I don't have I've been listening to this band for a long time. For me, it's like I've heard this and this. The big hit for me that I heard was Bouncing Around the Room. That was the one radio hit.
Yep.
And I used to change the channel because it was
you didn't like that.
I was like,
okay, this is what I wanted to get to is I want to find you to go back to however many minutes it was, 23 minutes ago.
Right.
No, 13 minutes ago.
It seems like 23.
Boy, doesn't it? And that's to me, and you folks are the ones listening.
Yes.
Still,
sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, I'm apologizing to the audience.
So that I know who you are. Yeah. Everything always sounds like it's being played by Phish because it's being played by Phish, but they do have a lot of different styles of music that they've played, and different. Different albums have very different sounds
and they've been
different
around
types
for
of
a
songs.
long time.
They've been around for 40 years. Yeah, exactly. So the question I want to ask you, and you've already sort of given me some of these answers, and you're talking to someone here who on Thursday, I think it was Thursday, whatever the third night of shows was in Mexico, I don't know, had like an extra drink or two during the day. And you and I were even texting about this.
Yeah.
That I needed to sober up to see Phish. And I was also texting my daughter at the same time. And she's like, you are literally the only person there sobering up to see this
Even
band.
Jesus was high.
Yeah, Jesus was there, and he was clearly
You sent me
high.
a picture of some dude dressed as Jesus.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
that's right.
It was like, oh, is that where the LSD is?
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's plenty around, of course. The woman that night, the woman behind us actually took 10 hits of acid. Which is a lot, man.
It's a lot.
And especially in a public setting. But anyway, I digress. So you are talking to someone who I enjoy seeing all music relatively sober. Like I like to experience
I generally do too.
music. I know.
I mean, I'll like eat an edible or smoke a joint.
Sure.
Have a beer maybe. But
not
messed up.
off the top, off
that's
your
no
rocker.
Fun.
Not to me, but it is for some people, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it's totally fine.
Yeah.
So with that, the question I want to ask is, tell us, because I know these answers, so I say us so that we're all kind of on the same page. What are some of your favorite bands? You mentioned Pink Floyd, obviously that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to pop music, Pink Floyd, the bands that you like. I don't have a particular favorite band.
No, but list 5 or 10 bands, because this is going to
Addiction.
Okay.
Pink Floyd. I mean, I listen to a lot of old music.
I'll throw David Bowie in there.
David Bowie, Prince.
Yep.
All Van Halen, like rock and roll stuff. But then Billie Holiday and Bessie Smith and Fats Waller, Cab Calloway, Peggy Lee, and musical theater and opera.
Yep.
One of my favorite operas is Carmen. I listen to it all the time. I don't think, like I said, I'm not being fair to Phish. I'm a huge I appreciate what they do.
I think I want to start you with a studio album.
Okay.
I really think this is
probably
the right way to get into this.
Instruments will be in tune, right?
But their instruments are usually in tune live too. Usually.
The stuff that I have heard,
not so much.
Were not in tune.
Yeah. It happens.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not sure which of these two albums is the right one, and I might be guessing completely wrong, but it's either going to be an album called Farmhouse or an album called Rift. Okay. And so I think that's the right order to try these in.
Okay.
They're very different records. Rift is the closest Phish has ever come to a concept album. If you know going in that they thought it was a concept album, you will hear threads of it that
themes and
ish.
Like that.
Yeah. But it's like, if you compare it to 2112 or Close to the Edge or something, it's like, well,
or Jesus Christ Superstar.
Correct. Right. Yeah. It's not that kind of concept album, but
The Wall.
Right. It's not even that kind of concept album. Right. Not even close. But it has its themes, and it's So
how many studio albums do they have?
That's a really good question. You would think that I would know this answer, but I don't. Let's see. Phish, do they
That's
have?
why I asked it, because I figured you would
15.
know it off the top.
15 according to Wikipedia.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
For how long they've been together?
Their first album was 1989.
It's not that much then.
Right. Yes. No, they've gone.
We've been together for 5 years and we have 3 records.
Yeah. I mean, they put records out in 89, 90, 92, 93 is when Rift came out.
They did a lot of live stuff, though.
But then they started doing the live stuff, right?
So how many live albums do they have?
Well, it depends on how you look at that.
Right.
If you call it, like, they have live albums, and one of their live,
like videos.
But there's live albums that are sort of compilations of songs from a variety of shows.
Right, like a tour or something.
Yeah, or ish. Right. I mean, they don't play the same set list every night, so it's not like they're going out and putting on a show
that to
every
me
night.
Is kitschy.
What's that?
Not doing the same set list every night.
Oh, it's definitely kitschy.
It's kitschy.
Of course it is. They understand this.
Me playing the cello like a bass.
Right.
Is kitschy.
Oh yeah. Like when they played Mexico.
I can't get rid of it.
Nope. And they are stuck in the same trap. Right. Like when they played Mexico, they played 4 nights, and everyone, including the band coming in, knew that there would be no songs repeated the entire time they were there. They did 13 nights in Madison Square Garden in 2017.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
And they didn't repeat a song all 13 nights. It's impressive to be able to do that, but it is a trap.
It is.
Like they don't get to just do what they want. They've created, they've made their bed.
And it's interesting because it's like, I don't know, I feel like there are songs that we play, like I don't get sick of it.
Correct.
You know?
Oh, of course.
And I'll play the same set list over and over and over again. And I understand why people would get bored with that.
Yes.
But I don't get bored like with music. You know, if I like something, I will listen to it over and over and over. I listened to Amy Winehouse on a loop when I first heard her for a year.
Yep.
Like I had to stop listening to Amy Winehouse. And I know people that hate her, but whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
I just couldn't get enough.
Yep.
Right. And I'll just listen to it over and over and over again. There are songs that we don't play anymore because Emily's like, I don't want to play this stupid song anymore. I'm like, oh, it's such a great song. You sound so amazing. Everybody wants to hear it.
Everybody wants to hear it.
Right?
Yep.
And
what a wonderful thing.
She's such an artist. She's a consummate artist for saying, no, I'm done with that. I want to move on to something else.
I get that. I remember seeing an interview. Maybe I talked to him, Jonathan Edwards.
Yeah.
I saw him. It was either an interview or a conversation I had with him at South by Southwest. I saw him at South by Southwest, and there were maybe 14 of us there. And this wasn't that long ago.
He's played around here a lot.
He lives around here. Yeah. So we joked about how we both had to travel to Austin for me to see him for the first time. And, and he was like, it was funny because the show ended. There were 14 people in this weird makeshift. There's all kinds of makeshift stages that happen at South by. So that's normal. But it was this janky sort of makeshift thing. And there were 14 of us there. I sat right in the front, watched the band. As soon as they finished, he came down from the stage and shook my hand like I had just finished performing.
That's
But he was like genuinely right. He was thankful.
Person. Yeah.
Oh, he's definitely.
Yeah.
But either then or in an interview I saw, he said, I know that when I go play, people want to hear Sunshine and Shanty.
Yeah.
Like those are the songs that put me on the map.
And they're great songs. Like, why wouldn't you play it?
That's what he said. He's like, first of all, I still like those songs. And I am so thankful that a life I get to live because of those two songs.
Yeah. And that's commercial. That's being commercial. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But he's like, I know that you expected to hear that tonight.
And it's not a slight on anyone like Emily. It's not a slight on her at all. If she doesn't want to sing that song anymore, if it's not moving, you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's paying your bills, then you should do it.
Yes.
Just saying. But I feel like with Phish, it is kitschy, but it is, there's no doubt they're artists.
Oh, of course.
And I respect their art.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't like it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
So I want to get you into the music, and then depending on how that lands or doesn't land, then there are certain live performances that I think you would enjoy.
Okay.
But I think it would be better to get you somewhat familiarized with their music so that you understand why this particular version of this song is unique or special or something like
smart.
that.
That's smart. You really thought about this.
Well, you came up with this idea like almost a year ago.
I know.
So it swims around in my head. And, when I'm watching Phish and they're doing something that's not entirely interesting, this might be like a thing where I'm like,
well, we share a cloud, on your cloud.
Yeah.
With all of that live Phish stuff.
Yes.
It's all there.
It's all there. So I just got to point you to the right ones.
I don't have any excuses.
Yep. No, it's
and now I'm using Spotify, so
to kind of wrap this up, the reason that I found that I liked Phish's improvisation is because they did what I've always felt like the Grateful Dead needed, from my opinion, and that's that they would rehearse improvisation exercises. Like they wrote their own improvisation exercises to learn how to listen and react to each other.
It's jazz.
That's it.
Jazz.
It was jazz. Correct.
You can't play, and this is, theater is the same way, theater improv.
Yes.
Have you ever seen Whose Line Is It Anyway or anything?
Yeah.
All of those things are foundations for improv.
Right.
So you have a foundation of this is 1-4-5, or it's not 1-4-5. It's all over the place, but here is the foundation.
Yep.
We need to rehearse this.
Yes.
Because you want to tell a story within your improvisation.
Well, some bands do.
The good ones.
Right.
You just
and they
look at
understood
somebody like Miles
this.
Davis.
Yes.
Legendary jazz musicians. They don't just get up on the stage and play. They have played that particular song probably 5,000 times.
Right.
So it's so ingrained in who they are, they can actually just stream of consciousness.
It seems like stream of consciousness. It is.
Because every note,
right.
They've already played all the notes 5,000 times.
Right.
They've already been in this.
It's a comfortable moment, even though it's a new moment.
Right. And it's about expressing yourself through the music. And
Phish, especially Trey and their drummer, John Fishman, both massive Zappa fans.
Yeah.
And Zappa was all about conducting on stage.
Sure, but he was also an improviser as well.
He was both, but he would conduct through the improvisation.
Yeah.
And Trey very much is like, of all the people that Trey reminds me of as a band leader, he reminds me of Zappa the most.
Sure, yeah. Interesting, because my brother did. I did a residency with the Portsmouth Symphony Orchestra in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
And I wrote this song called "Ghosts of Broadway."
It's a great song.
Thank you. He did the arrangement. My brother's a classical musician. He did the arrangement for the orchestra of that song.
Yep.
And he wrote in a section in the middle of the song for improvised violin.
Ah.
Now here he is handing this to the maestro. Here's the arrangement for Billy's song. I play the piano and sing, and then the orchestra takes over at one point. But they didn't know what to do.
Oh.
Even though all the music is written there for them,
Yeah.
An 80-piece orchestra.
Well, if you don't know how to improvise.
Well, no, they didn't have to improvise. Kenny, my brother is a virtuoso violinist.
Yeah,
so
but he played with us. He's great.
He's genius.
Yeah.
He improvised because we rehearsed it and then we did a performance of it. Each rehearsal and and the show itself was different, and it was amazing. Yeah. And the orchestra their jaws were on the floor.
Oh yeah.
Because they're just so used to the regiment. This is what we're playing.
That's right.
And Kenny's just like, no, don't worry about what I'm playing. You just play this.
You play what's written, and the rest will take care of itself.
And the maestro's over there like, oh, okay. The maestro, John, is consummate professional.
Yeah, of course.
And a true artist himself. Just loved it. And he hated it, too.
That's great.
He didn't have any control at that point.
No.
You didn't have control. Like, oh, okay, well, he's going to go off and do whatever he's going to do. Just stay with me, orchestra. Stay with me.
Yeah. We're in this together.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
It's cool.
And especially, I'll open my ears.
No, I know you will.
I'll open my ears.
Yeah.
Things might not change.
Yep.
Right. But I'm willing.
Yep.
And I know I give you and Tomer,
yes,
another bitter pillar.
Yes.
Another big, he's going to Atlantic City this summer to go see Phish.
I don't think they're playing Atlantic City.
Or not Atlantic. He's going somewhere.
Great Woods?
No, I don't know. I just know that he's like, I'm gone this week.
Yeah. Okay.
So I know I give you guys a hard time.
Sure.
But it's just because I want to give you a hard time.
Well, I get it. Yeah,
but
it's who you are.
Also, I gave my friends growing up a hard time. Yeah. With the Dead and Phish, because I just didn't get it. Yep. But here I am, like the musical theater nerd.
Yeah.
And they picked on me. So I just feel like
it's all fine.
It is. Yeah.
So Farmhouse and Rift, I think, are the right places for you to start. Right. And I'm curious, regardless of whether you like
notes,
either one of them, you can if you want.
I probably should, because
sure, why not? Yeah, we'll make it interesting.
There's a lot of bong resin up here.
Yeah, well, we gotta scrape that out.
No, just
leave it there. Yeah, that's fine.
Just caked in there at this point.
Caked in.
Yeah.
All right. Are they going to be able to sell your head not for science, but like for drug
smoke?
money?
I think
smoke
so. I hope so.
Okay. All right,
that's my hope.
That's good. All right, and with that,
scrape the skull.
Thanks for hanging out, Billy. Thanks for doing this.
Sorry,
this is
folks.
Fun. It's all good.
My apologies.
I know you don't have headphones on, but the theme music's playing, so
awesome.
The show's ending. That's how it's working. Yeah. Yep, kind of. Yeah, that's it. You got 3 words to say?
Be kind.
That's 2. All right, always be performing, folks. We'll see you next week.
That's what it is.
And we're out.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It's good.
Great.